All right, guys, I'm sorry. I don't have a better test for you guys right now for this new 33 millimeter, but I have a lot of stuff on my plate right now, so I'm trying my best. This is a 33 millimeter. After this, I will switch over to new 50 millimeter just so you guys can see the focal length difference. But so far from my testing, the 33 millimeter is shockingly sharp. The lens protrudes into the rear a little bit, but it still fits on the Mofage Poco rear VND, which I'm super excited about. We're gonna do some tests here. I'm gonna switch to the 50 millimeter and then I'm gonna run through some boring tests just so you guys get familiar with the 33 and to see what your expectations should be set at when you go and order them. I'm roughly in the same area, so you can see what that looks like there. We're at minimum focus. On the 50 millimeter, on the 33 had a little bit more room. This is the 33 millimeter right here. So you can see the 50 millimeter is gonna get you, I would say, a lot more compression. The 33 millimeter, while it has that wide filling, there's still a lot of bokeh. To me, so far from what I've seen, this still has a lot of good character for it being so wide. A lot of wider anamorphics, you start losing some of that character. So they start cheating it with, like, you know, stigmatisms and yada, yada, yada. This, I think Blazar is actually doing a really good job on, once again, balancing that character versus sharpness, especially for the price point. Because this whole new B set, the 50, the 85, and the 125 are even more sharper than the original A set. And the 33 millimeter is right alongside there at the B set in sharpness. Another cool thing about the 33 millimeter, the minimum focusing mark on it is 0.49 meters, where on the 50 millimeter, it's 0.74 meters. So I feel like you get a little bit more closer to your subject and get, you know, a little bit more separation in the background, purely because subject to sensor to background to subject, math, physics stuff. So I'm wide open right now at T1.8. Our closed down aperture is T22, back wide open. So you can see even wide open, I'm gonna focus on this rock right here. So you guys can see even at wide open at T1.8, our sharpness is still pretty damn good. This is a weird object part to be testing sharpness on, but. All right guys, so we're at minimum focus right here. So you can see we're getting some fun separation right there. We're gonna pan on Sedona here. And you can see for this being a 33 millimeter, I think a lot of people might fear that the distortion on this Blazar lens would be wild. I would say for this being a pretty like wide anamorphic full frame, the distortion's pretty good on there. We could test it. Just go to pan. You can see on the far edge there, obviously it gets pretty distorted. But for the most part, it's not horrible. So you can see, you know, we're still getting that similar distortion that we get on the rest of the rooms, but this is shockingly really controlled for this being the 33 millimeter. I feel like this might even be a hair bit better than the 45 millimeter. Let me do it a little bit faster and see. Yeah, that's not horrible, at least from the back of the monitor back here. You know, that's not telling me the full story, but. All right, guys, so after seeing the footage on my computer, the distortion is very similar to the rest of the Remus set. I know a lot of people scream and shout about the distortion on this, but if you shoot any vintage anamorphics, they all have pretty crazy distortion unless you start shooting like, you know, the $30,000 to $60,000 RE type anamorphics. But again, these are super affordable budget anamorphics. They're super small and lightweight and compact. So if you want to cry about it, that's okay. Go spend $60,000 then. You can also see we are getting some rolling shutter. Just real quick too, we're shooting on the S5 2X and 3x2 open gate. So we're getting as much coverage as you can get on these lenses right now. If you punch in a Super 35, all these edges disappear and the lenses look even cleaner if you're into that. Personally, I like the character, but sometimes if you're doing pans or if you're framing a subject in the corner, the distortion can be distracting. So I'm going to show you guys my fix right here. So let's just play it real quick and you can see what happens. You know, the length of the Bronco's changing here. This is the issue that can arise with panning with heavy distortion. So I'm just going to put in the lens distortion tool here in DaVinci. On all the other Blazar lenses, If I need to fix the distortion, I do either 0.2, and I'll play this again so you can see. So you see that controlled it even more. Some of them I will do 0.25, and I'll do that again. And you can see that really helped it. We're still getting some like rolling shutter effects. That's not the lens, that's the camera. But on this 33 millimeter, I might go and do 0.3 a lot. And you can see that controls a lot of it. And then I'll turn it back off. So this is before. So you see we're getting that funky effect there. And then this is after with the effect turned on. So you see the Broncos barely getting distorted there. But yeah, we could apply it to some real world footage here. Like even going through the real world footage, the distortion is not an issue for me at all. Again, it's only when I like really, I'm like, ooh, like I can actually see the distortion. That's when I go and apply it. But you see, it's turned off for all this. And to me, this isn't bugging me at all. We could turn it on real quick. You see, it only really makes a big difference when you need it. One cool thing about these wider anamorphics is, you know, trying to get like these cool POV type shots. So let's just pretend we're doing some cool stuff here. Not bad. I don't hate this. Yeah, this is just me holding out arm's length. There's a slight bend in my arm. This lens might be vloggable. Look at this. This is fun. Huh, okay. Huh. On the Lumix S9, this is going to be super rad because that camera's super small. It's official. This might be the new best vlogging anamorphic lens that has actual anamorphic character. I'm at minimum focus right there, and I'm able to have a pretty good, like almost like a 45-degree bend in my arm. And then this is my arm all the way out, and that should be focused right there. So yeah, this is pretty sick. I'm pretty excited about this. So here's one more sharpness test here. We're at minimum focus. So a lot of the times when you go to minimum focus, that's where some anamorphics start falling apart. Our sharpness is pretty damn good. Let's go to the edge here a little bit. So when I zoom in from the back of the screen here, I do see some chromatic aberrations. Again, I don't mind chromatic aberrations, and we're wide open. So let me close down to T2.4. Let's open up our VND. That's at T2.4. This is T2.8. Those are edges there. Let's go back centered. I think that's in focus. Let's go back to T2.4. Let's go back to wide open. There we go. Sharpness test. I'm gonna go to infinity focus. Again, guys, I am using the Mofage Poco rear VND. The rear VND, it's glass elements, and so that will affect the type of flares that we're getting. So if you're someone that's going to use matte boxes, you know, your flare character is going to be subtly different. But let's do a pan. We can see we do have a slight bow in it, but it's not horrible. That is one of my annoyances with some anamorphics, is when the flares kind of like bow, and then you try to do a lens correction and it doesn't match with the actual correction. So on this, whatever Blazar is doing, we're getting some pretty controlled distortion for how wide and affordable this lens is. There's other full frame compact anamorphics coming out now, and they're gonna be probably twice the price of this. Personally, I wouldn't mind a little bit more flaring on this lens. I wouldn't mind if there's some like second and third flares and some you know, round flares and all that. But all right, guys, so I think this will conclude this review. This isn't anything crazy. I just want to get something out there for everybody, because everybody's curious what the heck this lens looks like, and this is what it looks like. So again, nothing fancy, nothing fun, but hopefully this answers some of your guys' questions on you know, the overall look of this lens. The 50 millimeter was my favorite, but I think this 33 millimeter and the 50 millimeter are now tied as my favorite lenses out of the whole set. So no, why are you standing like that?